Thank you for joining us on this special episode of the Comics Pals. We are here to review the latest MCU movie. We're here to review Marvel's Blade, starring Mahershala Ali.
Tremendous film. Well, let's get out the gate. Tremendous film. Amazing.
What he did to all
Love
those
it.
Draculas, pretty cool. Consume.
Wait. You guys didn't see Blade?
Huh?
So
No, I was there. I saw it.
Wait, was it supposed to be out this week? Was this the?
I was daydreaming about a timeline in the MCU where everything didn't get fucked and everything came out on time, which means Fantastic Four would come out on time, which means I'd be winning my bet with Kefis. But no, we are actually not here to talk about Blade. That is not the subject of today. The subject of today is the MCU, because the MCU is in shambles.
Oh, chills.
What was more surprising than all this MCU talk was the fact that Sean started an episode with a bit. I was like, whoa, hey.
Very rare.
Yeah. I just felt I needed to get that off my chest.
And he couldn't let us keep going with it either.
No, I didn't want it
And
anymore.
you scared me because I actually did watch the first Blade movie for the first time this past week. So I was like, how do you know? I was very strange.
Truthfully, I was hoping someone would just interrupt me, but somehow when I want to get interrupted on this show, I can't.
Listen, you started with a bit. That's our favorite thing to do.
You're right.
I
Me
live a bit.
and Tyler said, "Oh, improv, yeah, let's do it."
Yes, and.
Well, everybody knows by now that Variety put out an MCU-centric article this week. Timing is probably a coincidence that it dropped the week that Blade should have been coming out. The day before, I guess. Actually, it dropped the day that I would have been seeing Blade, because I would have seen it on Thursday. Yeah, the second. So, actually, I think it dropped the first. Anyways, point is, it's a huge article. You can set your watch to it. If it's a new season, like in life, if seasons have changed, Variety will put out an article about the MCU, and probably, decrying it or, talking about the eventual doom.
A real lack of variety in their takes regarding Marvel.
Yeah, so there's a lot to get into. They point out, a lot of the things that just a lot of people have already talked about. We've talked about a lot of this stuff already. I think a lot of non-connected people who just talk crap about the MCU but don't necessarily follow all the news found a lot of bombshells in this article and a lot of new things to be really mad about when it comes to the MCU. We're gonna break all this down because the MCU does in fact have some problems. And the article does a good job of laying out the three-pronged problem that the MCU faces. We're going to dive into that three-pronged problem. We're going to talk about all the things that the Variety article has to say. And we've got a lot of fun planned for today. So it's going to be a great time. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button if you are ready for this conversation about the MCU. Thank you for joining us, live or otherwise. Always happy to have you. Let's talk. Now, I'm going to refer right to the Variety article up front by Rafa Alvarez for Variety. Now, I am quoting the article. This past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand, owned by Disney since 2009, has remade the entertainment business in its image. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars, and questions about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. The most pressing issue to be discussed at the retreat was what to do about Jonathan Majors, the actor who had been poised to carry the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but instead is headed to a high-profile trial in New York later this month on domestic violence charges. The actor insists he is the victim, but the damage to his reputation and the chance he could lose the case has forced Marvel to reconsider its plans to center the next phase of its interlocking slate of sequels, spin-offs, and series around Majors' villainous character, Kang the Conqueror. The article goes on to talk about how Marvel is thinking about replacing Majors with Doctor Doom. But of course, the fact that that's a little dicey because, they're all in on Kang. He's in Loki. Apparently, the finale of Loki doubles down on Kang. And of course, Kang is the villain of the 5th Avengers movie coming out in 2026, the Kang Dynasty.
His name is in the title.
Right. How do you pivot from that?
Yeah.
They talk about the historical Kang Dynasty instead.
The Genghis Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
So here are the 3 prongs of the problem as I see it as Variety laid out. Jonathan Majors, the recent movies that they've put out, just underwhelming audiences, and the streaming aspect diluting the overall Marvel brand. And I want to start at the top with Jonathan Majors.
The major elephant in the room there.
The Jonathan Majors elephant in the room.
Why is Marvel so damn against recasting?
I don't think they are. I mean, I don't look. There's no reason for them to have already recast. I don't think that that's necessary.
Yeah. I think they're sort of waiting to get through the court of public opinion.
The article says it. The article says as much.
But CAA already dropped Majors, so there's already people dropping him out, before all this stuff. So I just think, I know there's a possibility he could be innocent. That's innocent until proven guilty. But it's just a lot of heat on something you don't need that kind of heat on. And as a business, I don't think that's the guy you want to pin your entire hopes and dreams for the future of your main moneymaker on.
Well, go ahead, Marco.
Sorry, but I guess to that point, if he does end up being innocent at the end of it, then it should just kind of be all just move ahead.
But can Marvel or Disney really bet on an if?
Yes.
I think they can now.
Yeah.
I think old Disney would have changed it in a heartbeat.
Look, Kang Dynasty isn't due out until 2026. By 2026, I mean that's a long time from now. If Majors is found not guilty, right, the heat will die off. If this just sort of disappears for whatever reason, which it probably won't because he's going to trial, the heat will die off. Now they're trying to figure out what to do because casting and building towards Kang Dynasty at this point is a real thing. But prior to now, they haven't even been able to script a way out because of the strike. So this is the plan that they've been locked into. And I think when you look at Marvel over the last 3 years, it really is a series of unfortunate events. Not to take any heat off of mistakes that might have been made, but COVID, the strike, and Jonathan Majors' bad behavior, allegedly, are all things that are outside of Marvel's control. And again, you can argue they handled them all badly, but none of those things were inherently caused by Marvel.
Yeah, I don't think you can really blame the COVID on anyone, really. Nobody knew how to handle that in any situation or any industry.
Right.
I mean, you could blame them for certain decisions, but it has been. But I also think there's been some, I guess, corporate mistakes as well.
That's what I said. Yeah. There were mistakes outside of their. There were mistakes. They
Sure.
made mistakes, but the mistakes that they made were primarily caused by things that happened that they weren't in control of. But let's stick to majors. I think that at this point they have to commit or not, one way or another. Either you keep them and keep them no matter what, or you drop him. I don't think that dropping majors is the same thing as dropping Kang.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, agree.
So commit. You're saying commit to Kang. If the major stuff becomes bad, you drop him. You recast.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna jump in and say, like, even something like Ezra was convicted of things and the heat still dropped off, and the company didn't drop, or did all that buildup, waited until the end, saw the public opinion, whatever the individuals decided was good or bad of said individual, but the movie still popped out. They're no longer part of a larger narrative, so I think they were more willing to take a riskier bet on Ezra and a consequence of a trial. But to Sean's point, once this goes through for majors, if it comes out messy on the end, yeah, I think you stick to the architecture, not to like the individuals getting plugged into those things.
Yeah, I don't think that Majors has to stay. And while he is a star in a lot of ways, I don't think it's not going to be like what it would be like to say, for example, have to have had recast Robert Downey Jr. It's not that big of a deal. And I think they would pull the trigger if they felt they needed to. I don't think anybody cares that much, especially when you're talking about variants. They could just not look like him. I saw a rumor that what's the guy's name? He's playing Obi on Loki.
Oh, Ki-Hye Kwan.
I saw a rumor that that he could be a variant of Kang.
Bro, he deserves that.
Whatever. Like, let him take it over. I don't care. Get some other dude. There's other dudes. Get the dude that played
Get Johnny Depp.
Get the dude that played Dr. Manhattan on Watchmen.
Hell
Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Get him.
Yeah, especially since apparently Wonder Man
him.
got canceled because that's who he was cast in.
Right. He can do other work. It's not that big of a deal.
I thought you meant Greg from Dharma and Greg from the Watchmen movie.
Oh.
Wait, that was the guy from Dharma and Greg?
I think so. Or no, it's the dude. He looks just like the dude. I don't think it's him. My bad.
But yeah, I get that. I get that Marvel is in a bind with this, and I understand why this would cause them a lot of anxiety and frustration. And from the Variety article, it sounds like they were already thinking about pivoting away from majors when Ant-Man came back as not being that hot of a movie. There were already thoughts that maybe they should pivot away from Kang. But that movie wasn't bad because of Kang. I think most people coming out of that movie, especially even on this podcast, said that Kang was one of the only good parts. At least that's how you guys felt about it.
But Quantumania, there was not much, chicken shit out of chicken shit. That's not the expression, but
it was Michelle Pfeiffer and it was Kang.
Yeah,
it was Jonathan Majors. Like,
and even on the Loki show, like the Kang stuff's great.
Yeah, he does good work. Like he carries the character and was able to give the character some bravado. So like, give me that dastardliness with or without Majors.
And he makes weird choices too with acting. Like the way he's doing Victor Timely in Loki right now is weird.
Yeah.
It's not like every other MCU actor in the way they're like performing. He's pretty much outperforming everyone, if I'm being honest. But
and I want to say right now that any praise that we're offering or any like this conversation doesn't have anything to do with what he is alleged of doing. If he is guilty of that, then throw him under the jail, right? Like, I don't care. Like, goodbye. And by all accounts, it sounds like he probably is because he was. I want to say, and I think this is what I read, that when he was dropped by his agency, it was CAA, right?
Yep.
that when he was dropped, it was because of rumors that he was abusive on another set of a project that he had been working on. And when that came out, he was dropped for that. So we're not absolving anything. We're not saying, oh, he's such a great guy because he's a great actor. No, he sucks. We're just talking about the work.
Performances. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the story on Majors. It's a huge problem for Marvel, though, either way. It's not the only problem they got. Because the recent movies that they put out have just not been that hot. Whether you like them or not. And I think Marvel's track record of good to bad is still pretty good. The public perception of Marvel is that the last several movies have not been that great. And even the ones that we sort of like aren't that good. Like Shang-Chi, people like them. People like that movie. People aren't that connected to Shang-Chi.
Yeah. There's definitely like a recency bias, I think, because I would say everything up until Endgame, fire, or at the very least, all above average and consistent until the new phase, and then COVID pieces, and then all that sort of started to affect the lump of subsequent movies, but all of them being the subsequent movies after Endgame.
After Endgame is when the faucet turned on for the content. The dawn of Disney Plus meant that, like, I think now between Endgame and what we have now, I think we have double the amount as if we had before Endgame prior in such a short amount of time, which I think is the issue. I think Marvel Studios is having the same issue that comic books have. In so much that, this is doing well, let's put out 5 Spider-Man books. Oh, they're not selling. Yeah. Well, it's because Spider-Man does, nobody wants, Silk as a character. It's almost funny how one-to-one it seems, and it's corporate minded is exactly what it is. It's all right. How do we get more money out of this? Oh, let's just keep milking out properties. Why do we have an Echo show? Like, no offense to Echo, and the trailer looked good. But there's a dilution that comes when you're just spewing out content.
Yeah, it's like us with the draft. I think that yeah, there is a dilution, and the Variety article speaks to that. It says replicating that kind of phenomenon is never easy. However, the source of Marvel's current troubles can be traced back to 2020. That's when the COVID pandemic ushered in a mandate to help boost Disney's stock price with an endless torrent of interconnected Marvel content for the studio's fledgling streaming platform, Disney+. According to the plan, there would never be a lapse in superhero fare, with either a film in theaters or a new television series streaming at any moment. Now, let's follow that. Let's follow it. Because you go from that right to the complaints about visual effects. That the studio already dealt with Black Panther. Because people said that the finale of Black Panther looked like shit from a visual standpoint. Then you move forward, and now we're talking about She-Hulk, and we're talking about WandaVision, which had visual effects that were finished after their episodes aired. Where the She-Hulk trailer came out and everybody looked at it and said, whoa. And there were all those people that were like, you guys are complaining because it's She-Hulk and it's a woman and you don't want to see it and blah, blah, blah. No, it looks like shit. It looks like shit.
That's that same, it's that same HBO, that thing HBO people, the execs got caught, I think it was this week, making burners for critics. They just got caught. Disney was doing that exact same shit. I guarantee it.
Yeah, come on, man.
And there was a guy on TikTok, I forgot his name, that said that, like, because of needing to push out all this content fast and loose, and the CGI is a little, half-assed, they can say, well, nobody wants to watch a female superhero show, I guess. And they could put the blame on that instead. And decide, all right, well, we're going to do more Iron Man instead. But like, meanwhile, like maybe She-Hulk deserved better as a character and as a property.
Well, did you see what the what the article said about the original arc in She-Hulk? So the original flashback where she gets her powers that happens in the first episode wasn't going to happen until episode 8.
You serious?
Yeah. So let's see. So it says a flashback of star Tatiana Maslany's transformation into her Hulk character didn't take place until episode 8, the penultimate episode. But after Marvel's Brain Trust watched the footage, it realized the scene needed to happen in the pilot so that audiences could see more of the character's backstory early. That meant that the VFX team was tasked with fixing the mess in post-production.
And from what I remember, isn't her origin essentially a play on the original Incredible Hulk origin? Like the old TV show.
I don't remember.
Got it. Okay.
Whatever it was, though, it was supposed to happen in the 8th episode. It happened in the 1st episode.
Which seems like the issue that they just had with Daredevil when they're recorrecting again, where it's like, well, nothing happens until way too late of the show.
Yeah, well, either way, they have the whole VFX team has to fart out an entire pilot, to fix this whole thing. No wonder it looks so bad.
They have to do a scene with She-Hulk, a character that only exists through visual effects and CG, 7 episodes earlier than they thought they would.
Yeah.
And that's not the only example of that kind of bullshit, quite frankly, because there's another example. With Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that movie and the Marvels swapped release dates. So Ant-Man and the Wasp came out 4.5 months earlier than it was expected, which is great for us, right? That always sounds beautiful when a movie gets moved up. But for the visual effects team, what that means is that they lost 4.5 months of time to work on it. So when you say the movie looks bad, keep that in mind. That's not a problem. That's not even a problem of overwork. And I'm not denying any overwork, but that's not a problem of overwork. That's a problem of mismanagement. It's the same problem that we saw on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And in that scenario, we said that Christopher Lord does not respect the visual effects artists.
Yep.
Marvel, in this case, does not respect the visual effects artists. You cannot do that.
And subsequently, because of all that, now we have a union, which, thank God. But it's at least, like, how do you fuck up so bad that you force people to actually, realize their worth and actually do something about it? So, I mean, silver lining, maybe, but
it's ridiculous. And again, all these problems now that Marvel never had in spaces. Not every Marvel movie was good. Black Panther had problems with visual effects. People have been angry with Marvel movies since the first fucking Marvel movie, okay? So put the doomsaying aside. But right now, today, Marvel has serious problems.
I hope they eat shit because of it, frankly. I mean, I know that's a me opinion, but like, look, they dug this hole themselves.
Hope they dig themselves out.
But we're getting Agatha Coven of Darkness soon, guys.
Oh, listen, Kenneth Branagh's got the Agatha Coven of Christie movies coming out. I'd rather go see those.
I think that's a big problem for me is the amount of content that comes out. The movies would feel like momentous occasions because there was some gap in between, but the frequency of it I think has lessened the impact of a new character reveal or a new fact that we learn because we have to be involved in all these individual parts. That it feels like it kind of like bifurcates the community. Oh, I saw this, but maybe I didn't see this. Whereas people previously were like, "Oh, the new Marvel movie's coming out. cool, we're all going to go see this because we're all following the story. And now you have the flexibility to follow the story to different levels. You can follow only the movies, maybe just the TV shows, maybe you do both, maybe you pick and choose based on your favorite character. And I think it makes for less unified fans. And so you can you can start to critique the individual quality of a show more often because there's so much more content out there versus reeling it back, focusing on the quality of it, and then also just making in my opinion, either the shows or the movies, uh, just more momentous occasions, so that we can feel like we're leading into a thing versus having an echo like, okay, I'm not sure. I'll probably watch the first episode or the Agatha show. Like, those are extra bits and bobs that don't excite or interest me to continue to follow the Marvel universe. You're making me only follow the things that I want.
Yeah, I mean, Echo's cool. That we're going to talk about the trailer a little bit later. Great looking show. Do I really need it? Absolutely not. I was in favor of them doing shows. I never realized that this is where it would get so fast.
Hmm.
I thought, all right, hey, a limited amount of shows, a show a year, maybe something like that. I didn't know that they were going to do shows about Agatha. That's crazy. And it's unfortunate, right? Because we're throwing out these names and they're all women. But this is where those characters, like, this is where women's stories are being told. The Wanda story was told through that show. She-Hulk show, Agatha show, Echo show. I'm not saying we need an Agatha movie. Fuck that. Agatha should be a supporting character. Not every character has to have their own thing. But if you tell me that there's going to be, a show about Storm, right? A character that people actually like love and there's a groundswell of support for, I'm in. Let's get it. We just saw Black Panther 2, women-led movie. I'm in.
And the other issue too is that a lot of these TV shows that are like, are now dictating the films. Like the Marvels doesn't make sense if you just watch Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You need to watch 2 other shows.
Yep.
3 other shows.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
WandaVision, Secret Invasion,
Miss Marvel.
And Miss Marvel. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Let me get back to the article real quick though, because I have more to say about the visual effects. Here's a quote from what the article claims is a veteran power broker, which I hope that in my lifetime I live well enough to be one day referred to as a power broker.
Is it the power broker? Is it Sharon Carter? Like,
no. Quote: This is in reference to the Ant-Man and the Wasp film. Quote: There were at least 10 scenes where the visual effects had been added at the last minute and were out of focus. It was insane. I've never seen something like that in my entire career. Everyone was talking about it. Even the kids of executives were talking about it.
Do you guys remember that Chris Hemsworth piece that came out? I guess it was a few months ago now. I think it may have been GQ. His kids make fun of him for Thor 4. Like,
yeah, it's bad. And so Victoria Alonso, who is someone that we talked quite a few times about a few months ago, she was the individual that was in charge of pretty much the production and pre-production, post-production, overseeing the visual effects, everything like that. She lost her job. She was fired. The axe fell on her. Now, at the time, there was conversation about her being fired because of not wanting to take out an LGBT flag or something of that nature from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania for release in another country. She didn't want to do that, so she was fired, allegedly. This article says that she was fired because Bob Iger and other executives at Disney were in flames over the visual effects problems that Marvel had been having, and so the axe fell on her. And that the sort of like scapegoat reasoning was the fact that while Rome was burning, she was promoting another movie at the Oscars, her pet project film. And so that's why she's gone. So we got some clarity on that. I'm sure all those things are the reason why she's gone. But it doesn't sound like it's ultimately her fault. Because at the end of the day, if you're telling the visual effects people, all right, you got 4.5 months to finish this off, make it look great. And then you say, and then someone from over her, right, because that's not her department, says, no, this movie's coming out 4.5 months earlier. How can she, one on the visual effects team, be held responsible for a decision that they did not make that directly led to a bad looking movie? And if the movie itself was bad, that's still not her fault. Because that's script, that's potentially acting and different things.
Well, she was the manager, so she's responsible.
That's the corporate line. Yeah.
Oh, I know it, baby.
Marco loves the corporate line.
They'll be like on the side of that line, but
He's doing bumps of it in the bathroom.
Hey.
Then you got the Marvels, which is looking like it's going to be a disaster. It cost $250 million to make. It's projected to make between 75 and 80 million
whoa,
to start
what?
its opening weekend.
Oh.
And but that's still shit because that's $100 million lower than Doctor Strange 2 that opened at 185.
Yikes.
Last year. Did you guys know that came out last year?
Yeah.
Did it really?
I've had a year, Cal. I remember.
Oh, where's this year gone?
It says, the Variety article says that there were 4 weeks of reshoots to bring together a quote tangled storyline. Reshoots are normal in Hollywood. That's not that big of a deal. And on top of that, the way the Marvel movies tend to work, Kevin Feige swings in at the last minute and saves everything. So I'm not that concerned by the idea that there were reshoots. But they also say that Nia DaCosta, who's the director, moved to London to work on a new movie while the Marvels is still in post-production. They cite that as being abnormal. That is a thing that does happen. So I don't know what to make of that. But
production at that point.
Yeah, which directors are normally supposed to be intimately involved in, no doubt about it. But you can do that remotely. This isn't 1960. And during a public test screening that they had in Texas, the audience gave the movie middling reviews. And Marvel never has public test screenings.
They did a public test screening for a women-led film with a Muslim character in Texas, and it went bad? Huh.
Well,
a queer-coded woman, black woman, and a Muslim woman in Texas. Yeah, you're right. That's not great. Hope that happened in Austin.
Hey, the movie doesn't look good, so it don't surprise me. What's the story of the movie? Story of the movie is that 3 characters who don't have anything to do with each other than they're all Miss Marvel at some point or another. Their powers are for some reason intersecting and they're switching places. That's fine. I don't care. I wanted to follow the storyline from Captain Marvel 1, and we're not doing that. So why should I go see this?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because Beastie Boys.
It's crazy.
No, you have to see. So Marvel's thinking is you have to see this because you definitely watched all of WandaVision and all of Miss Marvel and all of Shitty Scrolls. So you're gonna see it because we've conditioned you at this point. Like that's what it feels like.
And it's the same bullshit they're doing in the comics. Of course you're gonna buy Gods for $10. It's a Marvel book. It's got Jonathan Hickman on it.
Well, keep in mind when we say these things, this is a mandate that came down years ago. It's not to say that, again, Marvel has made mistakes, but it's not Marvel's. It's Kevin Feige's not the one that said, who's the boss of Marvel. He's not the one who said, yeah, I can't wait to get everybody to double, triple, quadruple dip on us every single year. I'm pretty sure that if Kevin Feige had it his way, we'd still have about 2 to 3 Marvel films a year, and that'd be it.
Agree. Yep, agreed.
Maybe a Werewolf by Night type of thing, maybe something small like that. There's no evidence whatsoever that Kevin Feige would have done this because Kevin Feige kept things under control.
I just have a hard time. I mean, until there's evidence, letting anybody here slide. You know what I mean? Don't blame Kevin Feige, but like, he's a dude in charge. Like,
he's not. He's not. If Bob Chapek, who was at the time running the ship at Disney, says now we need a Marvel show every 3 to 4 months, and we need a movie in between. We need 3 movies a year. What can you say?
It's
so
wild.
What happened?
I was gonna say it's wild how inept Chapek was during the worst time ever. It was like the worst CEO you could have for a company during the pandemic. And like Iger is still trying to clean up his message across divisions, but specifically this division that we're talking about. Because it was so corporate focused, it was like, all right, well, we need to sell Disney Plus. How do we sell it? People like Marvel. Let's do Marvel stuff.
And it's obvious. It's obvious as a viewer. And that's the problem. We can feel it. There's no magic to that. When you're going to see those early MCU movies, I'm talking about Iron Man 1 through Endgame. Not all of them are hits, but I felt the magic of just creativity and excitement on their end to tell big stories. Yeah. You could feel it. I didn't feel it when I watched Secret Invasion. It feels empty. There's nothing to it.
Secret Invasion felt like Nick Fury or Sam Jackson had a line in his contract that they needed to fulfill.
I liked it. It just doesn't. It feels empty. It doesn't feel like it needs to exist. And that's how a lot of these projects feel.
Ant-Man 3 didn't feel like it needed to exist, and it was integral to this phase's story.
Ant-Man 3 is emblematic of a lot of things, I feel, because it also does not feel like an Ant-Man movie. Like, it feels so, again, corporate influenced. It's like, all right, how do we, let's throw everything at the wall. Everyone likes these movies. Let's keep the same plot structure for all of our movies, There's a lack of risk involved with a lot of these things creatively as well.
Yeah. There's no pushing of boundaries or of attempting to cross some sort of line for creative sake. It's all necessity. We need to introduce Kang in this way. We need to build the stakes in this way. We need to. It's like, well, okay, but then leave room for some of the artistry. Yeah, you get your super ants, but like, cool.
It's a checklist. Like Ant-Man 1 does not happen in 2023 Marvel Studios.
I'd agree.
I think it does. What?
That's smaller.
They're putting out anything. They're putting out literally anything right now.
Well, I mean creatively in terms of like how the story is. Like that was
Shang-Chi's a small movie.
I don't think so. It set up other things as well.
What?
Ant-Man set up every Marvel movie sets up other things. That's just the Marvel way.
Well, Sean, that's not fair. Ant-Man is a small movie. That's not.
There we go. Beat me to it.
I also, just to tack on your point about the loss of the magic, I also think Marvel's blank check approach to these films is not doing any favors. In the article it says that a single episode of She-Hulk cost $25 million. And I think it was the budget for the Marvels is something like $250 million, right?
Yes.
The budget for the first Iron Man movie in 2008 was $140 million. Like, I'm not saying that's nothing, but and we had the same discussion around Indiana Jones. Like, stop making these budgets insane. You don't need $1 billion to make a Blade movie. You need a guy with a sword and a cool coat.
Like I just watched Blade the other day. Where are those movies? Like where's our I guess Sony's doing them with Morbius, but like where are those like mid-range dumb movies?
But it's a wonder these aren't successful is because anybody gets absolutely anything they want because, the sky's the limit. There's no magic happening.
So this is a great point as we move on, because we're going to talk about Blade and money and Blade. There's definitely a conversation to be had there. I am not happy with the amount of likes we have right now. We need to bump that number up. Let's get those likes up. We've got a fun draft for you today. This is a very unique draft that we're going to be doing. We're stretching the idea of what the draft can be. So
I have no idea how we're going to pull this off.
Yeah, I don't either.
I do, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's collect those likes, guys. Let's collect those likes.
Smash those likes,
Smash.
that like button. I see the channel members in the chat. Those of you with green names, thank you so much for being a channel member. Hit the join button if you want to become a VI pal. There are 2 tiers, so make sure you hit that second tier if you want to be a VI pal and watch our exclusive videos that we got up there. I want to see those emojis in the chat. Those of you who have access, throw those Comics Pals emojis out there. Let's get it going. We're having a great time this morning.
I need to see our faces.
Yes.
I almost said give me heads, but I didn't.
Well, you did now.
I did.
Let's talk Blade. So Mahershala Ali is the star of Blade as it is currently. And this movie has been in development hell. As we joked at the top of the show, it was supposed to be out literally yesterday, November 3rd. That's when it was supposed to have officially released. Now it has a release date of February 14th, 2025.
Oof.
So
10
that
minutes
is
before Secret Wars.
Yeah.
This also feels like a movie that should be cheap to make. We made 3 of them already.
Mahershala Ali wanted to leave the movie because of script issues. This movie has been through very, very many versions of the script. According to Variety, one of the versions of the script saw Blade as a 4th main character in a movie led by women and, quote, filled with life lessons. This is the kind of bullshit, right? If that's true, because a screenwriter refuted that. Someone who worked on Blade, Michael Starbury, says that that's not true.
No, that wasn't my draft. No way.
But the speculation is that the movie focused on Brielle Brooks, who is the daughter of Blade.
So that comic that took forever to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to all line up, if you remember.
And that explains why that comic exists.
Right. 100%. And Brian Edward Hill, it's funny, he said he didn't even want to touch that right away, that daughter. He didn't want to deal with that. But this is the shit I'm talking about. Why would you, I don't care who had the idea. It doesn't matter who it was. Why would you look at Blade, a cool-ass black dude who wears shades, nice jackets, has a sword, and is a vampire, right? Why would you look at that and say, yeah, we need to make this movie about life lessons and have all the stars be women and let Blade run around in the back?
I want unlife lessons about this movie,
I get it.
Like, thanks, Cal.
Yeah, I get it.
Thank you.
It shouldn't happen. That's dumb.
The blueprint's there. It's so I could make this movie if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like
another Tyler, don't tell us what you can do.
No, anyone. I'm saying like anyone can make this. It is such a straightforward premise.
It is.
Yeah.
Don't break the mold.
Exactly.
I don't want the mold broken. Go ahead, Kel.
Maybe we should make Blade.
I don't want to say. I mean, Sean, you might have to be Blade in the situation. I don't think Kel.
Oh, what?
Or Marco are. Were you planning on being Blade, Kel?
I mean, look.
I'm definitely gonna be Blade.
Dude, I don't know how to use a sword. I'll have to learn.
We'll get you some teeth.
See, while you were leading raids, I was studying the Blade. So.
Yeah, the Blade situation makes no sense. It's hard to understand why you can't figure out how to just make Blade. But because of Mahershala Ali's frustration, apparently Marvel went out and hired Michael Green, who is a very talented writer, the writer of Logan. And Michael Green is now making a pass at the script with a tighter budget of less than $100 million.
That seems right for Blade. You know what I mean? Like,
get his trench coat at the Goodwill. You're good.
Listen, knock it down a couple mil. That'll be a great movie. I guarantee it.
But Kale, if I don't have all the budget, how am I going to make a good movie?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Blade is the easiest movie that they have to make. It's just a cool ass vampire.
And there's 3 of them already that are like, mostly like a solid meh,
The first one's awesome.
Sure. What's like, how is this hard?
It's insane. Sean's cosplay for next New York Comic Con is Blade. Hell fucking no.
Sean will not want to cosplay, especially the heat that con gets.
I was gonna say, you gotta put Sean in a giant trench coat in that heat.
No way. No way.
Can I do a little conspiracy theory for a bit?
Please.
So 2 things about this. First thing, since when does stuff leak at Marvel?
What do you mean?
Lately.
Is it leaking or is it being purposely leaked?
Hell no. Why would they want this kind of press?
Scapegoating. Secondly, does this seem a lot like a lot of the blame and the reasonings that are given are women based? Like the whole Nia DaCosta thing, not out of the realm of possibility, but it seems like a negative that they're portraying. Blaming Blade's, negativity on women leads. Let's talk about the She-Hulk movie. The Marvels isn't going to do well. It just seems like a recurring theme in the article.
In my opinion, I feel like you're connecting dots that aren't necessarily there because She-Hulk, the complaint about She-Hulk has nothing to do with anything other than the visual effects.
Sure.
And I think the complaint with Blade is that it just doesn't make any sense. Like you could have they're about to drop a Marvel movie with women leads, but it doesn't make sense to do that in Blade.
But then they're also dropping a Marvel movie with women leads, and then a week before this story comes out where this negative idea of this woman director, which seems normal to all of us, is coming out for a movie that's potentially not going to do well. Oh, it's because the director didn't care.
I don't think that's it. Yeah, I think I think there are a lot of unfortunate things here that are lining up.
Pepe Sylvia-ing a bit, yeah.
There is another aspect of this that a lot of people have latched on to because it's the biggest thing here and it's kind of buried a little bit. But apparently, Marvel has considered, in all their dire situation, they have considered bringing back the original Avengers, including resurrecting Tony Stark and somehow getting Steve Rogers back to fighting spirit and age.
Oh, Marvel Zombies? Yo, all right. This is kind of cool. Hold on.
I'd stop.
That was already announced, Marco. It's an animated show.
Live action?
Stop.
That's a bad idea. And I think if you're gonna bring back old characters, it means that you don't have faith in the future of the line. You have to come back and rely on the member berries of these characters. That to me is just a bad showing. These characters were not Robert Downey's Iron Man. It was the entryway for people, but that isn't the reason people are gonna stick around. Yeah, they'll come back, but that's a short-term solve. It's a band-aid to a larger issue that they don't seem to want to address, which is the quality aspect of it. Because yeah, you can bring back Robert Downey Jr., but if it's still a shit movie, it's a shit movie with Robert Downey Jr. that people are gonna go see, and then the next one is gonna be what? Just another shit movie?
Without Robert Downey Jr.? Yeah.
Exactly.
It seems like the ultimate in case of emergency break glass thing.
Right. And I think you keep that in the back pocket.
I don't think it should be in any pocket.
Yeah. Like, how much are they going to have to pay him? I think the article says that for Iron Man 3, his salary was $25 million. That's an episode of She-Hulk.
Oh, that's right. You got to bump your costs up too.
Especially for returning Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., and Scarlett Johansson. And I can't imagine Scarlett Johansson is going to come back for cheap.
After she got
Not
burned.
yeah, not after that Tower of Terror fiasco too.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I don't
I don't have a problem with this. I read comics just like everybody else, and we know characters come back all the time. It's not that big of a deal. I think that they shouldn't do it for this reason, but I think they should do it. I don't assume I have seen Tony Stark or Captain America for the last time in Marvel, and I have never assumed that. I assume they'll be in Secret Wars. So this isn't a big deal to me.
I think it's a big deal because of what Marco said. I think it's saying, hey, all this investment for all these new characters, this new diverse line of characters and storylines. We don't care about that. It's not working. Let's go back to what worked. And then how do they build in the future? It's such a short-sighted goal or a short-sighted way of doing things. Then like once they don't want to do Captain America and Iron Man again, they want to build up another line of characters like Night Thrasher and Rage. I'm not going to care about that because I know Marvel won't.
Did people get resurrected in the Ultimate Universe?
Typically, no. Peter Parker did though.
typically.
Go ahead.
No, I was just
For-
going to ask if there were a lot of characters. Sorry. Go, Sean.
Character-wise, I agree with you, Sean. But for me, it's the actors. Like, these people are getting old. You know?
Yeah. I think I don't personally see a scenario where they release a movie that is the Avengers and it is only the OG Avengers.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen. And to get to the point where they could even do that, they're still many, many, many years away, right? Like there's just to explain it, unless it's a movie where it's like this takes place in the margins of Avengers 1 and 2 during the times when they were probably out doing stuff. We didn't see that.
Sure.
What does a MCU editor's note look like?
Outside of that, there's not even time for this to happen. So Marvel will have to resolve the problems that they have before they get to do this cool shit. And likely, if we were to see these characters again, it wouldn't be until a Secret Wars type of scenario or something like that. So to me, there's nothing to this.
And I think that reminds me of a good point too, is that the lack of an Avengers vehicle in this post Endgame thing is a detriment because we have all these characters that are great. Like Florence Pugh as Yelena is fantastic, and I want to see her interact with other characters like Shang-Chi and White Widow or whatever she calls herself would be cool. The fact that they don't get their own team up movie in any way until maybe Kang Dynasty is insane because that's how we learn to like the Avengers, in those movies starting.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I've been saying that the lack of an Avengers movie is insane. Again, though, we were supposed to have an Avengers movie coming out next year?
Yeah.
So we passed the time anyway. It's just that now the Avengers movie we thought we'd be getting next year is still 3 years away. That's deadly for Marvel. It's deadly. And there's no way out of that.
It takes the fun out. Like all we can do is sit here and twiddle our thumbs and speculate on how good or bad Marvel's doing, and they don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, DC might be making something to replace the itch that Marvel's not scratching right now. Possibly. It's a big F. But there seems to be traction and passion involved there.
That's also still time, though.
Sure. Yeah.
And frankly, what are we looking forward to right now from DC? Off the heels of the Flash and the criminal Ezra Miller, drunken Aquaman.
Yeah, we've got Aquaman.
Oh boy. Kind of excited for that.
It's
going to be
flop.
not a great movie, but I'm excited for it.
Buddy cop movie Aquaman. No thanks.
Keep things simple, standalone new Avengers movie. Why create baggage leading into it? Because that's the fun. for everybody that says that, they don't want an interconnected universe, that's really what got Marvel over. And we just talked about how weird it is that we haven't had an Avengers movie. That stuff's fun. And it's the reward that we get as an audience for paying attention and keeping up with the story. I don't know how you make a new Avengers movie without, working towards it. In fact, like the comics, I don't think it's as interesting when you just jump into an event. Avengers movies are the events of the MCU, and without something getting to that, I don't think it's that compelling.
And there's no incentive for that, for having that interconnectedness at the moment. Like all the movies have felt separate and disparate, and they connect each other potentially in plot only, but not in or rather because they exist in the same universe, not because it's necessarily driven by that plot. Like all of the individual pieces for the Marvels have led to them meeting, but I don't know if it's warranted a movie for the Marvels.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think it's even connected that well either. Like the end of Shang-Chi. It felt like, all right, I have to watch a friggin' Easter egg video on YouTube after this to explain what I just saw. Like, the average person isn't going to see that and think, oh, those rings are communicating with possibly the Negabands or something. Like, they're not even, like, it's not Nick Fury saying, hey, come join the Avengers Initiative. That's straightforward.
It's not cool. It's not, nothing,
No, it's not.
nothing feels cool. Like when Thanos came out at the end of Avengers, that shit was cool.
Oh, what the fuck? That's crazy.
And it's not because we're jaded. It's because they're not doing cool stuff. And everyone lambasts, super fans for wanting fan service and stuff like that. But you can have your cake and eat it too in this world. Why not? You can have fan service and you can have a really good story. Both are possible.
It's the difference of to that point of being like, wow, that's crazy that Thanos is out now and we can see him and he's interacting, versus that's kind of crazy that Kang got beat by ants. There's a difference in sentiment and excitement around those things.
Listen, follow the wrestling formula. Keep the heat on Kang. Don't beat him. Make him a
plenty
threat.
Heat right now, actually.
Beat him to the big face down the road. The big face being the Avengers.
They just don't want that go away heat for Jonathan Majors just yet. But
they got it.
Boy, you got sizzled.
My point was that the original Avengers movie was standalone and required no previous movie.
Ooh, not true.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, you gotta.
I think it required.
To that point, what I was thinking about this with Age of Ultron. What led up to Age of Ultron?
So Age of Ultron is pretty watchable if you only saw Avengers.
Yeah.
The intervening movies are not terribly important, but Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was pre-Avengers. Yeah, there's nothing that's like that important that you have to see
for Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But I mean, half the cast of Avengers is really only established in that movie. Like Black Widow, Hawkeye, and that iteration of the Hulk, it's in that movie. Sure, you get, Iron Man and Cap and Thor.
Black Widow's not, her origin wasn't in that movie. Her origin was in Iron Man 2.
No, but I'm saying her actual character work is in Avengers. She's just a hot assassin in Iron Man 2. There's nothing to her. It's like, ooh, look at that. Look who I put in that movie.
She's explored in that movie.
Yeah, she actually has character in, Avengers. Although I'd argue Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye does not have any character until Hawkeye. But I can see Avengers being considered standalone.
You have no idea who Loki is. You don't know you don't know why Thor is after him. You don't know why he's arrested. There's so many things you don't know. I'm not saying that a person can't go see that movie and not get it, but it was made with the idea that you probably have some familiarity with what came before, and it directly deals with what came before without caring all that much if you know it or not. Like if you've consumed that stuff, if you don't know it, they're not beating you over the head with stuff.
I mean, I'm
Uh,
just I'm looking at it and not to harp on this, but like I think you could watch that and understand everything. But I don't think you could watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and totally understand everything now because they're directly referencing things.
well, that's
Yeah.
a different. Go ahead, Kill.
No, I mean, you're right. It is, and like Sean is also right. Those are two different conversations. Multiverse of Madness is made for you to have watched those things. Avengers, you can watch by itself, but it wasn't made that way.
And there's less that's being referenced. Doctor Strange 2 is built on years and years and years of shit. And it also came out during the era in which we are complaining about the over glute of stuff. Yeah. Marvel has a problem. Is Marvel in trouble? Trouble that they can't get themselves out of? That's the question that I want to end on. Do you think that now is the time to worry? We've had doomsayers about Marvel movies forever. They've always been wrong. Are they right now?
Yes, Marvel is in trouble. Yes, they can get out of it.
They're not far gone enough, I would say.
That's how I feel too. Yeah.
And actually, I would say that they're trouble.
Yeah,
I don't think you
I
can-
think it's rich kid trouble, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna steal this car, but you're not gonna. Nothing's gonna happen to me because of it.
And like the other elephant in the room is like they have X-Men. That's coming. I say you can't screw that up, but
Yeah, about to say.
yeah. Like
It-
Deadpool
it-
3
they-
is coming out and there does seem to be some excitement around that. I think they'll be okay, but I think it's going to be a bumpy road getting there.
Yeah, I think they need help. Trouble. They need help to get out of the hole that they've dug themselves into. But I think that they're going to be able to get out, or there is a possibility to get out of that, but they need a lot of groundwork.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Comic Boom says it. Sean said it before. Marvel's one great movie away from righting their mistakes.
100%.
I'm not even worried because this is all stuff. Every single thing in this article is stuff that, we're already aware of, at least, here on this podcast, and those of you who follow us and listen to us. This is stuff I've talked about for months. And I believe personally that all of this is explained by things that have happened that have not been in Marvel's control. And I think that as things get a little bit more in control, because now Bob Iger has put his foot down, and he's no hero. He's doing it to sort of save his behind. But now that he's put, tighten the straps around the wallet, right? And it looks like they're going to pull back on shows and things like that. And they got rid of the crappy writers on Blade, and they hired someone with real talent. And they got rid of the Rick and Morty writers, and hopefully are hiring people who don't just tell jokes. I think that there is plans and strategy already in place to solve the problems that we've been seeing. But the way that movies and television work, it's a very long iteration process. It's a long time. It's a long pipeline. So it's going to take time for us to see things get better.
And we got to remember, there's still an actor strike going on too. Like they can't even do anything still, really.
Right. Well, yeah, when it comes to hiring actors and things like that, yeah, you're absolutely right. They can't put a movie in production.
Yep. Can't even promote. Like
Right.
Marvels can't be promoted right now because of the strike.
Only DaCosta is going to be doing the promotion
In London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan in the chat put Disney seems to be learning the right lessons right now. For this phase, I think they've implemented the wrong lessons coming out of Endgame, where they're trying to quickly lead to the big bad. They're trying to inundate us with a whole bunch of content. My hope is that post this phase, going into phase 6, that they'll have learned the lessons of this wave of films and TV shows. Is I don't think they're applying the things that they have learned yet, but I think that being hopeful, they're at least getting some good data points and getting knocked over the head a few times with it. Sometimes it takes some repetition to really get an idea across. Maybe the poor reactions are finally going to stick, and they're going to say, maybe we shouldn't do these things.
But at the end of the day, it's all going to be driven by corporate stockholder greed. So, like, I know we're being optimistic, but then I saw what Iger was saying during the writer's strike, and I'm like, fuck that dude.
So obviously we talk about the MCU enough around here. There's a lot to say. But I think, let's watch and see. Let's watch and see. Forget the Marvels. That movie's a sacrifice. We've really just we have to wait until production begins on movies that are still not even have gotten started. We'll see how the scripts change. We'll see how things change, and we'll take it from there. But I don't think we have anything to worry about. We talked a lot about that. That was a long. You guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something out of it. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the MCU. If there are any good comments, you guys can grab them while I talk to you about patreon.com/thecomicspals. That is the place where you can support us if you enjoy what we do and you get some bang for your buck. We're always putting stuff up there. We've got a lot of what I think is really good material, stuff that we pride ourselves on. We put out a newsletter every single week. One from one of us every week. This week was my week. Talk about Batman. We do an exclusive show over there called Palling Around. So if you are into what we do here, that's a show you've never heard. And it gives you a better idea of who we are, what we're about. We talk about stuff that we really can't get to on the show, stuff that doesn't have anything to do with comics for the most part. It's a lot of fun. So if you want to, get with us over there, you certainly can. One of the biggest perks you get, of course, is a nickname and a shout out on this very show. And so I want to give a special shout out to the very best pals in the universe, Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, and Starcross Catherine Stars. And I want to thank the Night Stalker Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marvelous Micah McKenzie, Marley Manistorm, Slow Flow Damerant, and joining the Palsverse, we have a new challenger.
Ooh, challenger. Interesting.
Uh-oh.
Don't put him in space.
Welcoming Amin Almighty Perez.
Okay.
A cult leader.
Yes.
Who leads a group of people who feel disenfranchised by the fact that people with powers are popping all over the place and want to do something about it. Little do they know that the man who leads them has the power to inspire devotion, devotion, and the power of suggestion.
That's good.
That is top laid to a T.
Wasn't he like pro like blue sky or blue earth in Superman?
Amin adds members to his flock constantly, amassing numbers and power rapidly for reasons that only he knows.
Oh, so he's aware. Oh, okay. Interesting.
However, there is someone who has started to suspect that something is wrong. And they're thinking about using their powers to uncover this mystery themselves. Someone for whom the truth is paramount.
Ooh. Whoa.
So maybe a little conflict there. Welcome to the Palsverse. I'm in Almighty.
A little Maxwell Lord, a little Purple Man. Definitely not a creepy power at all.
So yeah, you guys can get your own nickname and a shout out here, your own superhero or supervillain origin story. In Emin's case, he asked to be a villain. So welcome to the squad.
Oh no, Hound's in the cult of Amin.
Oh no,
this stuff travels digitally. That's not good.
It's in the 5G.
You can also join our channel membership over on youtube.com/thecomicspals. We have a cult of our own, the cult of the pals. And we welcome you guys. We welcome everybody that chooses to join us. We've got timed exclusive videos over there that you can check out. We just put out one this week. I think it was this week, about comics being magical and if the magic is still in comics. And we think it is. So there's lots of fun stuff. You get emojis as well in the chat and things to come. Lots of things to come. It's going to be fun. So, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, really appreciate you joining. And you're a double dipper. We've got double dippers in the chat. People that are channel members and patron supporters. You guys are the real MVPs. The MVP
In this economy, y'all
Right?
crazy.
So Amin, who has a Superboy Prime icon, is what it seems, wanted to be a villain. Big surprise, huh?
Checks out.
Makes a lot of sense. Join our Discord server. It's a lot of fun, except when it's MCU Bash Hour.
Listen, that's my favorite hour.
And vote in the listener poll for Pals Polls, which you can watch live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. on youtube.com/comicspals. You can vote in the community tab. You can watch this show live every Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We have a listener comment from another double dipper who I might have just referenced earlier, Dan the Truth Trudeau, who wanted to talk about something regarding our last main topic, which was fixing the Avengers and Justice League. Tyler, take it away.
All right. I didn't do my vocal warm-ups, but okay. I can't stand the idea that a Justice League or Avengers villain has to be some sort of cataclysmic threat. It's not backed up by history. For example, Grant Morrison had the JLA going against Armageddon machines and rogue angels, but they also had storylines with antagonists like the Key and fifth-dimensional imps. Superman is vulnerable to psychics, magic, emotional manipulation, etc. He could theoretically be killed by one vampire. It doesn't have to be someone who could break the world in half. I believe you guys mentioned Action Comics where PKJ had not just Superman, but his family with their Kryptonian levels of power struggled to defeat Metallo. Not the Injustice League, not Darkseid and his minions, Metallo. And it was 100% convincing. With that in mind, you guys reference Bendis' New Avengers multiple times, but what are the Justice League stories you feel exemplify the team at its best? What are the gold standards other creators should take as inspiration going forward?
Oh, that's a great question. The league is
You're good?
league is such a weird example because I personally don't feel like they've had like a groundbreaking run the way Avengers did with Bendis. Like the Bendis Avengers stuff exploded and then it kept going with Civil War and Secret Invasion. And it exploded and then it just took off. I don't feel like the Justice League has had that. I feel like they sort of get kneecapped every time they try something.
Yeah. I think the closest, honestly, is what you mentioned was Morrison's JLA run. I think that's an emblematic Justice League run. I think JLI is also another one, even though it's not, standard Justice League. And I honestly think if we're talking more recently, I think World's Finest is a great Justice League book. Because a lot of the time it has multiple Justice Leaguers in it, fighting Toyman, fighting a Mazo. And that's kind of the stuff I'd want. Sean, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. My answer to this question was Jeff Johns and Jim Lee and other artists run on Justice League during the New 52. I know that this is a run that not everybody likes, but I loved it, and I didn't care about the league before this because it had the ingredients of a story that I want. Big characters, big villains, tight storytelling that makes sense, mysteries abound, ideas that lead into events and bigger things like that, a clear-cut story that they were telling from start to finish. So to me, that's what the Avengers and the League need. And it's not terribly dissimilar from what Bendis did, although I guess people like Bendis's run more than Jeff Johns' run. I don't think that it's that complicated, honestly. I don't think you always have to have a big villain, but I think a lot of the time you do. Because to me, the Avengers and the Justice League should feel like events. in the sense that this is what you have to read. You've got to see this. This is the biggest stuff in comics. It doesn't always have to be Thanos, right? In Bendis's run, it was Magneto early on. They fought Electro. They went to the Savage Land, right? So it wasn't the biggest things they could have possibly been doing out the gate, but there was great storytelling and problems that felt worthy of the characters that were involved in trying to solve them.
Yeah, and I think to the worthiness aspect, the New 52 example is apt, because in that one, I think one of the first arcs is like the Atlantis piece where Orm starts to take over an attack, and that's not it is world threatening, but he's not typically that villain. And so it's nice to also accompany Aquaman alongside as the team to be like, okay, we're all in this together to beat and save the world.
It didn't hurt that Even Rice was on art too. That stuff looked good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you though, Dan, for the question and comment. Really appreciate it. Let's move forward, and we just finished talking about Marvel Studios. Let's talk about Marvel Studios one more time, because they dropped the Echo trailer this week. Surprise, surprise, this is an MA show.
MA?
Yeah.
They show a guy getting headshot in the trailer, Marco.
MMA. Yeah.
MMA. Okay.
A lot of fighting in this. Yeah.
A lot of fighting. Got it.
Yeah. Kirishima clutches, yeah.
I thought this looked awesome.
Awesome?
I really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
After all the discussion we just had, Sean.
Of course. Yeah. That's the thing. I love the MCU.
Yeah.
He does love the MCU.
Yeah. I'm
He
not
loves the MCU.
Yeah. I thought it looked real good. I appreciate that Kingpin is back. That's really cool.
King is back.
Looking proper, not wearing Hawaiian shirts, that dumbass shit they did with him in Hawkeye. And he's serious and sinister. In the trailer, we see him beat the ever-living shit out of a hot dog stand guy because he wouldn't give Maya Lopez, aka Echo, a hot dog, and she can't speak, so she's trying to convey that she needs this food, and the dude mocks her sign language and tells her, I don't care, I'm not gonna give you anything. And then Kingpin hops out of his car and beats this dude probably to death. And
Definitely
we can see how the
Yeah.
echo of that moment moves through her life, and it impacts and changes who Maya Lopez would have been. And it's examining the ways in which she reflects who the Kingpin is and what she has witnessed him do. And I think that's incredibly interesting.
That took me out of it, because I'm like, what kind of hot dog stand guy would do that? Like,
Bro, same.
one,
A New York hot dog
Same.
guy? Are you kidding
Bro,
me? They don't give
are
a
you-
shit.
No, they're going to sell you no matter
but-
what. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What did she have money in her hand? I missed that part.
I don't know,
I-
but
I got that he was just mocking her, and like that was enough.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
That
she
I
was
could see.
trying to get food for free, and he was like, and even if he was mocking her, what are we going to act like people don't mock people with disabilities in this world?
Well, they do, but not a salesman. My guys would be like,
Are you kidding me, Marco? There are places where they won't sell you a cake because you're gay. You
But-
think salespeople won't mock people with disabilities?
but a
Marco
New
can't
York
get
City
cake?
a New York City hot dog dude? No way, man.
You were living in a different world, bro.
Those dirty water
A
dogs?
different world. Do you know how many black people can't get cabs still?
Well, that's not the question, Sean. Can they get a hot dog?
This is strictly hot dog discussion right now.
You're extrapolating, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bro, I've watched Men in Black, the first one, at least 3 times in the past 2 months.
Mm.
Vincent D'Onofrio is one of the best actors on the planet.
He's so good.
Every time I watch him, I am blown away. And like, I don't give a shit about this. Daredevil, I'm even iffy on. But man, Vincent D'Onofrio is incredible.
Having the trailer be completely narrated by D'Onofrio,
Yeah.
and honestly, half of the footage is Kingpin.
But he takes up half the camera.
That's true, big dude. it kind of sold me. And then like the actual peaks of like Echo and like going to her indigenous roots that like I don't really know the character that well, even in the comics. Like she hasn't been around that long. Um,
She's been around for like 15 years. She doesn't do anything.
I mean, she's a Phoenix, right, Sean?
So
Yeah.
that's what I said. She doesn't do anything.
Ooh, ooh. And then there's one frame or like two frames in this trailer that shows the red suit Daredevil again. And I was like, good to be back.
Absolutely. Yeah. They also announced, tied to this, that this is the first Marvel Spotlight show. And so that's an announcement that went under the radar for a lot of people. But what it is it's not a joke. It is a delineation that indicates that this is something that is not as connected to the MCU in general.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, just make a Marvel Knights brand that
Okay.
you can just do street level Marvel stuff with.
I don't know how I feel about that. I guess
I
an
don't
issue
care.
that it's not connected.
Yeah, what does it matter?
Well, but then if you're giving me all these shows and and the sell of the Marvel of the MCU is it's all connected, it's all going to be relevant.
I mean,
And-
Daredevil's going to be there. What do you want?
But
It's
if they're-
connected to Kingpin's life. It's connected to Daredevil's life. What
but
do you
it's
want?
not gonna service the larger narrative.
Well,
It's
neither
it.
does the hot dog I ate for breakfast today.
Weren't we just complaining about the fact that everything needs to serve this larger narrative and it's negative to the product?
Who's we?
That's a great point. So,
I agree with you, Marco, in the sense that I think it's weird right now to make that kind of delineation because of the place that they're in. I almost think it'd be better to do that retroactively once they have their house in order. Okay, all the shit that you didn't care about, like Moon Knight, Echo, Werewolf by Night, which was good but has nothing to do with anything, all that stuff, Marvel Spotlight.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Forget it. And then whenever they want to do the next Werewolf by Night type of thing, label it like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. I agree with that.
yeah, I think it's just another way. It's like DC's Black Label. It's a way to put something somewhere where you can do whatever you want.
But that
And
means
who
you could have
cares?
that means you could have put something that should have belonged into the MCU there. in its
Now
place.
you're getting it. Now you're getting
Doesn't this
it.
mean that Daredevil then is going to be a Marvel Spotlight?
Damn.
We don't know.
But like,
don't know.
see, this is where the
anything-
confusing part comes in. It's like, well, does that become
anything they
Marvel
don't-
Spotlight? Is Hawkeye Marvel Spotlight because that's Echo's origin?
Anything they don't like could be
I guess so.
Marvel Spotlight. Like, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
Blade Marvel Spotlight.
Yeah.
Yikes.
CW Gordon says, feels like it's setting the series up for failure, advertising it as disconnected and unimportant. Right. Absolutely.
To be fair, I hadn't heard about this. So, like, before, like, I wouldn't have known otherwise.
It's not even on the poster either, which I think it was on the. Was it? No, Werewolf by Night was marketed as Marvel Studios Presents, right? Not Spotlight. The Spotlight thing
No,
is new.
Spotlight is
Oh,
brand
it's
new.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they didn't announce it like up front and center, then they're trying to not make that something you consider for watching the show. That feels to me that there's an expectation that less people will be interested because it does not connect to something.
Yeah, and I just think they're trying to slide under the radar this new, imprint, if you will, of the Marvel Studios where they can do this. And sure, whatever, go ahead. I just think labeling a show that's coming out imminently with that is a bad idea. The other thing that they're doing, though, is they're dropping the whole thing right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, they have no faith in the show.
I kind of like that actually. It lets me do it at my pace. I don't mind that.
I hate the full season drop.
What?
I more likely will not watch the show if it's all in one season than if it is weekly.
I prefer the weekly drops, but I think that with a show like this that probably isn't going to have legs and not going to have a conversation ongoing about it, maybe just getting out of the way is best. I really don't know. All these different strategies and everything else, it's just like I want them to do something consistently. That's all I want. Consistency, good quality, consistent logical release schedules and things like that. Just do the same thing all the time. But yeah, doesn't seem like people are that excited about Echo at any rate.
I'm glad that we're getting a character that native and deaf. Interesting aspect, but otherwise, I don't know. They need to do a lot to sell me, because even in Hawkeye, it felt like an ancillary character.
It is an ancillary character.
Well, all right. I mean, yeah.
It looks like what is it? Reservoir Dogs? The new no. What am I thinking of?
Oh, isn't it Reservation Kids or something?
Reservation Dogs, I think, or something like that.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a play.
Yeah, it was a Taika Waititi produced show about Native American kids on a reservation.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but Marvelized. I don't know if that's good or bad. It just looks like that.
Have you seen it? I don't know.
No, I haven't.
Also, was that Warbird in the trailer, or they show like a really buff Native American man in it, which is like they lingered on the shot a little too long. Is that someone we should know about? Like Thunderbird, maybe? It's just more mutant.
I wasn't
Seeding.
sure. I didn't make much of. I didn't make much of that.
Oh, Red Wolf. That's another character that's Marvel wanted to push.
The Kingpin in Native American dress. Ooh, yikes!
It's just a Halloween costume.
It's a Halloween costume, Daredevil.
I really wanted to mention. I don't have the name of the individual in front of me, and I can't find the article where he says it. But one of the people involved with making Echo, one of the maybe it was the director, one of the writers, talked about Echo's powers. And said that her power is that she has the ability to copy what she sees, copy movement, copy fighting styles. Echo, that's in the name, right? And this individual said that power is lame and that she will not be having that power.
Was that the director, Sidney Freeland?
It might have been.
Yeah, that was in our TV thread in the Discord from again another Variety article.
Yeah, I got the quote now. Quote, we wanted something that, again, if you're coming off Hawkeye, and you have to keep in mind she's a villain. And so tonally, we wanted to lean into that. I think, oh, sorry, that's the wrong quote. Yeah, so her power in the comic book is that she can copy anything, any movement, any whatever. It's kind of lame. I will say that it's not her power in the show, and I'll just leave it at that. Can Marvel do me a favor real quick, since I've been so nice to them? Can you hire people that fucking like comics and stop hiring people who have a disdain for them? Like, stop now.
I saw that floating around, but then they have this shot in the trailer where she's mimicking his Kingpin's fighting style, and I'm like, wait, are you just lying to us? Because they're doing a replication shot for shot, like they'll switch between her.
That felt more thematically father-daughter,
yeah,
rather than power set. And the whole theming is that she is Kingpin, and she is Wilson Fisk in a way. Man, they did Taskmaster dirty too in Black Widow. Like, that's such a cool power set.
I'm just done with this trend of Marvel specifically seeking people out who just don't like the material.
And honestly, I had no idea that was her power. Like,
well, go ahead, Marco.
Sorry, it didn't feel like she had a power in Hawkeye.
It
She
also
probably didn't.
saying she's a villain in Hawkeye is not true.
Yeah.
She's an antagonist, but she's not a villain.
All right,
No, but like you didn't say that. The person making
No,
the
I
show
know.
said that, which I think is a misunderstanding of the character already.
Yeah, just get people that love comics, please. If you're gonna say a character's power is lame, I don't care what you have to say about that character. I'm sorry. You're telling
Also,
stories with this character. That's what you have to focus on. You should love everything.
I'm sure there's people
Or-
who write comics that would love to write for TV.
or at least respect it, right?
Yes.
Like even if you're not crazy about it, you have to look at it and go, okay, what is there to this?
Or don't say that shit in public. I don't want to hear that.
Don't take the job.
Right.
Like fuck off.
If the money's there.
Have some integrity.
I forget who it was that was it Fincher was going to do the original Spider-Man and didn't want to use his origin because it's lame. Or not, he didn't use that. I think he said it sucks. Then he didn't make the movie.
Yeah.
Great.
I know what you're talking, because was that in the early talks with like Leo as
Yeah.
as Spidey? What a world we could have
A
lived in.
Fincher Spider-Man is wild sounding to me.
Starring Leonardo
I
DiCaprio.
also love this quote. My costume designer, when she first came on board, she was like, okay, we're gonna start making these powwow costumes. Is there a powwow store? Is there a place we need to go and get this stuff? Freeland said. Come
Insane. And then I didn't agree with this as being like, I thought people made too much out of this, but to what you just said. In the same quote, he talks about how her power is lame. And of course, we use lame to mean it's uncool, but that word has another meaning, a much older meaning, which of course is a reference to a person who is disabled, a very specific kind of disability where you can't walk. And the actress that is playing Maya Lopez literally has a prosthetic leg. So people were making a big deal out of that. Now, I don't. But when you couple that with the crazy ass Native American thing that Kale just said, it's like these people are completely just out of their minds insensitive.
Where's the PR person on this one?
You said the character's powers are lame. You use the word lame. Someone said some crazy shit about Native American costumes and things like that. Like, this is just a fucking mess. Stick to white characters, Marvel, please.
And that's coming from the black man. Like,
Wait.
At
Don't
least
stick
the
to white
filmmaker
characters.
is
We need
from
diversity.
the filmmaker is from Navajo. She's a Navajo filmmaker, so I guess maybe the Native American thing is, I don't know.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, DC had a huge announcement this week. Massive announcement. Any other week it would have been the main topic.
The Echo trailer dropped. I don't understand. That was huge.
I liked it. DC is trying to change the game again by being forward-thinking-ish, and they're putting out a new line, a new way to experience books, new way to read comics, I guess, maybe. They announced DC Compact Comics. It's a new line of graphic novels. What's special about that? We got graphic novels all the time. Well, they will be reprinting some of the greatest stories in DC's history that are also reader-friendly. And the catch is that they are 5.5 by 8.5 book. So they're a much smaller package. Similar, if not the same, as manga. It's definitely a manga-inspired move.
Ooh,
Yeah, manga books
interesting.
are 5 inches by 7.5 inches, so a little bigger, but
Half
close.
an inch and an inch off. Yeah.
Which I guess for the verticality of the pages, that makes sense.
So the first wave of books that they've announced as a part of this are Watchmen, obviously, Batman: The Court of Owls, All-Star Superman, Far Sector, Wonder Woman Earth 1, American Vampire Book 1, Batman Hush, Joker, Harley Quinn and the Gotham City Sirens, and Catwoman Trail of the Cat.
Good
Far
titles.
Sector being on there is genius.
Yeah.
N.K. Jemisin is a huge writer in the fantasy realm, sci-fi fantasy realm. So to market this, and also like we did a book club on that. Watch that, fantastic book too. So
Wasn't Joker? Was that a dark Black Label book?
it's in spirit. It was way before Black Label though.
Okay, but it's a larger format though, right? Like
No.
inherently.
It was just released as a graphic novel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think part of the attractiveness of manga is its compactness, is its size. Do I think that this is going to be, a game changer in whether or not DC sales go up? No, but I think this is a clever way to test a new format in a isolated. It's an isolated test. You can say, okay, we know that these books sell well. How much better in comparison do they sell percentage wise to these other formats? Yeah, smart.
I think the form factor is much more important than people realize. Like carrying around Chainsaw Man Volume 3 or whatever is so much easier to carry around than if I was to try to read Sandman. Like imagine Sandman volumes in manga style format. I think it'd be much more readable, honestly.
Collect more too.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the paper quality is like though on this.
And it's apparently it's at a better price point, $9.99.
Let me jump in,
Yeah,
please. Anna DePies, who is the senior vice president and general manager at DC, said, quote, "The DC Compact Comics price and sizing is perfect for readers of prose and manga looking to pick up a new reader-friendly storyline in a self-contained full-color graphic novel. This 5x8.5 paper cut is the most widely circulated softcover book size in the U.S. and is popular among graphic novel aficionados in international markets. At $9.99, it's a great price point for retailers to stock these classic titles. For readers, DC Compact Comics deliver a new graphic novel reading experience that fits in the palm of their hands with no loss of readability." Now, $9.99 is cool. That's a good price point. But I was curious. So I decided to look at how much Far Sector cost while it was coming out, because it is the most recent, I believe, of all the books that are on this list. And Far Sector per issue was $3.99. So if you bought 2 Far Sectors and a half, that's the price of this whole story in this new format. And today, that same issue of Far Sector, because it was a specialty branded book, because it was Young Animal, and because it was a writer who is not a traditional comics writer, it probably would have commanded a price point more like $4.99 or $5.99. So if it was $5.99, then 2 of the issues would be more than the cost of this. And if that doesn't illuminate the problem of comics for you, then I don't know what else can.
If this does well, I might say something controversial here. I would be okay with this possibly being a format going forward.
Brother, this is what comics were.
I know.
What are you talking about? You're
but not
talking about
currently.
going back. Like this paper format, the paper, of course, is going to be manga style paper that comics were already printed on. Yes, bring it back. What do you mean? This is it going forward. They're not going to print new stuff in this. That's why we see the same 6 books reprinted every 6 years, because they can't let Watchmen die or they'll lose a shit ton of money.
You say they're never going to print new stuff in this, and I don't agree with that. I think there's a world where they start printing like this way.
No, there's not, because they're going to lose a crap ton of money. That's why they're pushing $10 comics.
Well, I mean,
floppies, $10 floppies.
Not paying, smaller page rates and writing rates. I don't think they're against doing that either.
But there's a point at which you can't hire anyone but scabs, or I shouldn't say that in this case. Creators that are newer and hungrier and willing to accept lower page rates, like astronomically lower. This is not a sustainable model for Western comic books from the big 2. If it's a new release, If it's an old release like this, sure, you're doing it anyway. Why? Or you're okay. Wow, we're reprinting them in another format. But when you're talking about releasing new comics, how could you take what you're making right now, right, off $5.99 an issue, and then say goodbye to that and charge just $10 flat for an entire graphic novel's worth of new stories and new art? There's no way. At $10?
Like they might as well make it manga. And I don't necessarily mean that as a pejorative, but like, fine, lose the color, lose the backgrounds, make every issue a fight scene. Like,
I still think there's a possibility because comic books as floppies is such a niche market. If they can tap into a manga market, and then I think Dan's saying the same thing here, volume goes up and new readership goes up, which can then offset what they would have been making, per issue in mainline comics.
But how much money would they have to make a $10? Because think about what you're saying. Take Far Sector's 10, 12 issues at $3.99. Let's say it was the same price. Let's not even go into what modern comics cost. Forget that. It's 10 issues at $4. That's $40, right? I bought every issue, so I spent $40. How can you take the $40 that I spent, condense that into $10, and pay how many comics have to sell to pay everybody involved the rate they deserve, which they're already not getting paid the rate they deserve, right? How many books have to sell to make that happen? $40 versus 10.
I think you're misunderstanding where I'm getting at. I think that that this can make a new Far Sector of books that are new printed this way. I don't think it needs to be 10 issues long. It could be shorter. Thank you, Kingdom of Nerds, becoming a VI pal.
Cool. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Wow.
Appreciate you, Kingdom.
Just took out all the tension.
I promise he didn't.
But like you can make one that's like half as long in this format that's specifically for this because we saw Far Sector was selling insanely in this. If you're making 5 times the amount that Far Sector was getting in comics, was probably wasn't that much. I think there is a line somewhere here in the future where new books can be made.
But that's like the pipe dream. That's the best case possible scenario where it sells 5 times as many copies.
That's what manga's selling.
Yeah, but that's manga, bro. Like I don't know why, and I'm not singling you out or even Marco. I don't know why people think that there's this waiting horde of individuals who are just obsessed with comic book characters that don't read them because of the size of comics, because of the this, that, and the third. People don't read comics because they don't want to. If you want to, you can. I have so many friends who love comic book characters that don't give a fuck at all about comic books. It's not hot.
Yeah, I mean, there are comic book fans that are fans of the movies and visual media. But like, Marco, what's the webtoon, the Batman webtoon?
The Family Adventures. Yeah, like there is a market there. It's like the best selling one on that. Like, I think there is an untapped market here that I think this is a very good idea to try because this does not hurt, but it could give you data to make new things.
But you're making a different point now. So my point is, this is great. I got no problem with them doing this. Like what they're actually doing, I think is phenomenal. I do think that it makes sense to try to meet people where they live. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. My aversion is to this replacing anything. I still think that everything we already get should happen the way it does, and this should be a separate offering. Now, if the world blows up and they get 5 times the amount of people buying Far Sector that were buying it before, if that happens, great. Now you have managed to tap into this untapped audience that everybody always talks about. But even in that scenario, I still don't think they should get rid of everything that they've been doing.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying replacing. I'm just saying there could be new comics this way. Like, if Far Sector in this format does much better than it did in traditional comics format, there could be a Far Sector book that's coming out as Hal Jordan's Green Lantern is coming out as comics, you know? I think it has potential to tap into a market they've been trying to get into.
I think outside of the market piece, right? Let's say we're dealing with the same volume of people that we have regardless. We have the same number of comics fans coming in. To your point, Sean, you paid $40 for this book. Would you not have bought if they had a $10 offering of the same content? Is that not a better deal for you?
But that's a trick question. But go ahead, Kale.
Let me tell you why. Because this paper quality is probably going to be garbage, and they're going to shrink down the art.
Well,
So one, you're not going to be able to read it, and two, the art's going to look, shrunken and bad.
You gotta put on your glasses, Kale.
And also, Marco, of course it's a better value for me, but I bought it at 40. I'm not the question. I'm already going to buy whatever they put out. It doesn't matter what I would do. We're talking about people who do not buy comics and how to get them to buy them. And also how this idea that you could put out new comics this way, how that would impact sales of comics and revenue. I don't believe that there is a reasonable scenario in which this works to the degree that it would be an acceptable replacement for the way that we currently get comics. That you could tell new comic book stories this way and pay the creators who worked on these books to do anything in this format.
I'm viewing this as additive. I'm thinking you have your floppy, you have your $10 comic, and then you still have your $20-$25 collected trade. Like that just means more offering.
That's not what I'm responding to, brother.
No,
I'm responding to what Tyler said.
No, that's Marco's saying what I'm saying.
Right. That's what I'm reading from Tyler's thing is and I'm not saying that the $10 book will in my scenario, I'm not even saying that the $10 book will lead to a new market. I'm saying it'll shift the way that people spend their money. Instead of spending $25 on a trade that, and granted, will have better quality art, better page quality. If they're price sensitive, they're willing to make the shift to something that is of lower quality. I think that you'll find more people buying that book in comparison to the trade to offset the difference. I think people have enough disposable income to spend $10 than they do to spend $25.
Brother,
Agreed.
Today I got a McDonald's for the first time in months.
What'd you get? I want to know. Paint the picture.
The Philly Stack cheeseburger.
Okay, that's some UK shit. I don't know what the hell that is.
The point is, disposable income for a $10 comic book, you're overestimating people in the Midwest.
But comics are already expendable. It's already a medium
for us. Yes, for us.
Right.
I'm thinking, think of my sister who lives in Texas, nowhere near a comic book shop. Internet's not good. Internet's not good enough, for Comixology, whatever. Going to Walmart to get a manga-sized comic book isn't gonna entice her because it looks bad.
But again, I'm not saying that I'm separating the new audience piece. I'm saying it is reshuffling the way that current readers will prioritize buying books based off price.
Yeah, and I think somebody is more likely to spend $10 twice than $20.
So Amin Perez says, Sean, I disagree. I think there's a significant number of readers who enjoy comics so much that they unfortunately read them for free. Maybe they won't spend $40, but $10 is a different story. I'm glad you said that. So that is in reference to the idea that comics have priced people out and that people are reading comics for free, which is a huge problem. Absolutely grant you that. Here is my counter to that. There is no way to know that the people that are doing that, the people that are stealing comics in that way, by reading them digitally, are waiting to pay. There's no evidence of that. Like, in real life, we had to get Spotify, and we had to get Apple Music, and we had to get all that because people just decided they were not paying for music anymore. It's just not a thing.
It needed to be easier than piracy.
It needed to be easier than piracy, and it needed to be free. Because Spotify, when it launched, I used it all the time, totally free, never paid a dime.
Yep.
Right? So those people who don't buy music, they didn't just start buying music because there was a cheaper alternative. They just didn't buy it. And now you'll get a Spotify subscription, and it's low price, but people complain about that. Look at what's going on with YouTube right now. You know? I don't know that audience exists. And on top of that, I would probably argue that a lot of comic book theft, happens on weekly books.
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do with this, because Far Sector is not a weekly book. And whenever, look at how long it's been since Far Sector came out with this, right? Are they going to do a version of this for, I don't know, what's a recent Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, whatever?
Amazing
Are they
Spider-Man.
Well, I don't know if a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow would work in the small format with all the words that Tom King put in that book, but
But again, you prove my point.
I guess that's a long way of me saying that I don't think that the piracy part of this is as relevant, because I don't think that the people that are pirating are exactly one-to-one. I think people that want to read Far Sector really badly are getting it. And it's done well, so we know that. People that want to read Watchmen are getting it. They didn't pick anything that's not successful.
Yeah.
What are we trying?
what's
They're not trying
successful?
anything.
Is Wonder Woman
No,
the one that
it-
was successful?
It's a good baseline. It's a good comparison test. You know that Watchmen is successful, right? But now you're taking a look at what is the difference. What is that delta between the people who buy the larger format and the smaller format, and at a different rate, so you can see the efficiency and efficacy of it.
And I think Far Sector is also a good litmus test for this as well, because then you can throw a big 1 on the spine of this volume and continue it further. You can't really do that with Batman or Superman.
I would be shell shocked if they got N.K. Jemisin back to do this, to do another volume in this format. I'd be shell shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm arguing they don't even need to get N.K. Jemisin for it. I think that it could be a model of continuing an ongoing story in comics going forward.
But with who though? Like with what creator who is going to accept the kind of pay rate that would come with this?
There's someone out there.
But of course, there's always someone out there. It's not about someone, right? Like we could all theoretically, everybody in the chat could write stories for Marvel or DC. Would they be good? No.
No,
And that's the point.
Well,
Hey,
mine
whoa,
would.
wait, mine would.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah,
would
let's go.
too, but let's
Let's go, Kayla.
But if they're getting lower quality creators, why do it?
I mean, if you're launching a line too, maybe you pay N.K. Jemisin a decent amount to help launch a line. I'm just saying, I think that there is a possibility here that hasn't been touched yet.
It's not gonna get touched.
This will be one of our end of the year bets. Wow.
This is gonna.
This is a
Yeah.
long-term bet then.
Yeah, let's
Tyler,
do it every year.
Tyler, welcome to the trenches.
Fucking let's get an omnibus bet going, because I will put money down on this.
Like, I'm just imagining like Sandman volumes in this format. Like it was printed in the comics in the same shitty paper that these books probably have. Like it's original printing. I have those issues. I think Sandman is an entirely readable book this way. I'm curious of how they do paneling. I wonder if they're going to be readjusting
No,
panels.
it's
I
not.
don't know.
No, it's not.
Kel, you need.
It's so fucking not.
Okay, we need
Is your blood
therapy.
pressure okay? You're literally redder than your shirt right now.
Are you kidding me?
What they've
Look at
adjusted
the size
panels
of
for
look at the size
digital
of the
comics.
floppy. Look at the size of a floppy,
Sure.
and then look at the size of a manga book.
But I'm also like, they've done panel shifting for digital comics for panel to panel reading. It's not
They're gonna ruin it, is what you're saying.
possibly, yes, possibly.
Then nobody's gonna pick it up.
Oh, I think you misunderstand people understanding. The people that are getting this probably don't understand the craft of panel layout. But then going forward, you can then adjust the book to be made to fit that format. That's what I'm also saying.
And I'm saying if you break the page like that, it's gonna be bad.
Right, like even a novice, when a page is broken, it affects a novice reader very, very bad.
Sure.
So I worry about that. And then also, comparing it to manga's made to be that way. None of these books were made to be this way. So it'll be interesting to see how they work when you do tweak them, because I think Kale's right. When you break the format, it does impact the readability.
Yeah, I don't think they break the format for these books, like honestly. But I think if these things they sell enough, I think you can then start creating things to fit this format better.
What's the current page size? 8.5 by 11?
That's standard letter page.
That's standard
A1 letter
yeah.
page, I think.
What is a comic book?
Dan Trudeau says until they see how these sell, we're all just filling the blanks with our own prejudiced perspectives. It's something they have to try. Welcome to the show.
Oh, we have a podcast, bud.
Didn't Marvel try this with the Mangaverse for a bit, or something similar with this format? Was the Mangaverse Spider-Man? No, I think that was still comic book format.
No, that was manga.
Was it?
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
No, I don't. Maybe I'm talking about the first Mangaverse.
Yeah, I'm talking about like
Ninja Clan Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was comic book sized. I have some of those.
I think maybe Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane maybe was manga sized. Okay.
Yep.
Marowak Oscuro says if someone reads a comic online and liked it a lot, he's going to want to have a physical edition. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's like saying that people who pirate a CD or listen to an album on Spotify are going to go out and buy a copy. That's just not true, especially not in the modern world. Why would you do that? You just read it. You read it for free. Why would you go out and overpay, because these books are overpriced? Why would you go out and overpay just to have it physically?
People are priced out of apartments that are big enough to even fill bookshelves as normal enough space.
Yeah, there's no way. I think there are so many misconceptions about people's buying habits. And we're seeing that less people are buying comics. Comic book characters have never been bigger, but less people are buying comics, not than ever, but maybe than ever.
My friend Kevin, he texted me during the show while he watches, and he said those Dave Gibbon 9-panel grids on this page layout, yikes.
Well, and that's a thing. Like I was gonna bring that up, but like Dave Gibbons is like, oh, okay. Like a lot of his backgrounds are, there's stuff in them, but they're fairly blank's not the word. They're fairly quiet, I guess is the better way. But like think about the Jim Lee stuff from Hush. Like that's gonna look like crap, man. That's gonna look bad.
I'm very worried about that. A comic book isn't the same as music or movies. You want it physical. Nah, come on. Nah, no way. But piracy is a definite problem. I'm not going to argue about whether or not piracy is a problem in comics. It's definitely a problem in comics. People who pirate do not go out and buy what they pirated most of the time.
This finally answers a question I've had since joining the Comics Pals. Why does Sean hate pirates so much?
That's a mystery that will never be revealed.
Hope it doesn't involve booty.
Nah. This is a wait and see situation as far as like how this will shake out. I agree with Tyler in that this is a long-term wait and see type of thing. But to me, this conversation went off the rails. I actually did not come to this conversation to negatively talk about this. I actually feel great about it. Tyler took us in a whole different direction. I'm very happy with this announcement. I think this is great. I think there's nothing wrong with doing this. I have concerns about the way this will actually look, like from a visual standpoint, when they shrink the art down and the words and everything else. But in general, cheaper comics available in more places, meeting people where they live, objectively a good idea.
You're never going to believe this given the fit I've thrown. Same.
I know. No, we got thrown off. We went in a different direction. That wasn't the point of this conversation.
I'm aligned with Tyler.
This will be great supermarket. These need to be put in Walmarts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like this is great. This is what this is for.
Mm-hmm.
It's way better than the Walmart special thing that they did.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We will see. We have a war in the comics, pals. Listen, we have a war
Hardly.
like every week on this show, but it's then we do a draft and it's all good.
If you knew what happened during our business meetings, then you would talk about a war.
Whatever do you mean? Let's see. Do you guys want to talk about? Do you guys want to? Yeah, let's talk a little bit about
a little more sales data.
Sales,
Yeah.
sales.
Let's be a little briefer than we were on that last.
Okay.
And I was at that conversation too.
No soapbox for me, or whatever I call mine. Toilet paper, but I don't know.
Tyler's
paper
toilet.
box.
Tyler's toilet. It's where I just sit down the entire time and come up with my ideas.
Let's talk a little sales data. So ICV2, they put out sales rankings every month that come from point of sale for stores that are associated with Comics Hub, that use that system. It's around 100. It's over 125 stores, which is a lot smaller than the 3,000 comic shops that exist. So we can't take this as gospel. And there were some things that I thought were a little funky, but let's talk about it real quick. This is for October. So it's broken up into two sections. One is the top 50 comic books by units, and the other is the top 50 comic books by dollars. And so there's one book that's number one on both lists, and it shouldn't surprise anybody. It's Transformers number one. Transformers number one was pound for pound the best-selling comic of October by units and sales.
Nice.
Units sold in dollars.
And I think it's funny because second is God's in terms of sales, but that inherently has a boost because it's friggin' it's $10.
In terms of dollars, yeah.
Right.
On the units list, God's is fifth. But on the dollars list, it's second because of what Marco pointed out. So Transformers was even able to beat out Gods. The volume of Transformers copies sold was so high that it beat out Gods, even though Gods cost double the price. That's incredible.
Oh, same with Amazing Spider-Man. Fucking hell, what issue is that?
How do you think IDW feels? Yikes.
Probably pretty shitty. But Image has the money to throw around. Image can get a Daniel Warren Johnson. Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla did pretty well. We should have reviewed that, I guess. There's nothing really that surprising on this list to me.
Yeah. I will say Amazing Spider-Man being number 2, and I know we have currently number 37 in the poll, and I voted in the poll. I voted for, surprisingly enough, Spider-Man. And I sat there for a second with that. I was like, hold on a second. Why did I just do that? And I thinking back on all the reviews, I'm like, damn, there's nothing wrong with this book. And you know what? Am I about to sign on to a fucking monthly Spider-Man book?
Let's go.
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly book? I was like, oh, damn. You know what? There's what?
What poll?
The poll that you can vote for in the community tab. Thank you very much, Gail. For the next week's Pals polls is currently up. I forget which is winning, at least from when I last checked, but Amazing Spider-Man number 37 is up there. And you know what? I think I'm making the campaign for it this week.
Brother, let me tell you, I was not doing a bit.
Can I say what surprises me about this list? DC's preeminent team book is not even in the top 20, but Birds of Prey is. Which is exactly
Titans,
what we were talking about.
saying?
Yeah, Titans, yeah.
Better comic.
Yeah, and it's good to see that. Like, Birds of Prey is right below Avengers.
It's number 2.
And it's way better than Avengers.
Yeah, and it's number 2, not number 1 as well, which I think is
crazy.
indicative of things.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think that's a great point, Tyler. I think Titans got thrown under the bus by Night Terrors, so that's unfair, or rather unfortunate. But judging by the quality of the book itself, I don't think it earns a higher spot. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 11 is on this list. Granted, it's number 42 but I didn't know anyone was buying that. So for it to be in the top 50, that's pretty decent.
Murphy's always telling us to look at that.
Ooh.
The current run is solid. I read the first few issues and I
heard,
really liked
yeah.
it.
Cody
so.
Ziegler?
Yeah.
Is that who's in
Yes.
it? Yeah. Back to
Yeah.
the normal suit.
Wesley Dodds the Sandman right under that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
shout out.
Wild.
you're welcome.
Is Sandman above Titans?
No,
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
no. Titans
No.
is 25th.
not on the other list.
Got it.
For anyone who questions why Marvel and DC put out the books that they put out, look at the list. Like it's all the stuff we complain about. It's all the stuff that's like that feels gratuitous, or books that we think are like, like there's not necessarily sometimes there is, in the case of Birds of Prey, for example, even though those characters are super popular, but there's not always a one-to-one between quality and sales.
Yep.
For sure. Like Universal Monsters Dracula, one of the best books on this list, barely made it. It's number 50, although it just came out, so maybe that's not fair.
One other thing that jumps out to me looking at the top 20 is, you say look at the list and you'll see what books get made. The amount of Batman family books that we have out there, and only 2 of them are in the top 20. It kind of goes with my idea, like they're diluting some brands in some places.
I think we probably all agree with that, right?
No, I agree, yeah.
Of course, that's comics. I'm glad that ICV2 does this, even though it's probably not like it's not the gospel. 125 stores is just a very, very small number. But I'm glad they do it because it gives us an idea of how things are selling, and we know that the big 2 aren't trying to give us an idea of how they're selling at this point, unless it's doing great. So that's ICV2 for you. We have met our likes goal.
Good, because I made a cool slide for this, and I want to know what Sean's idea for this draft was.
That argument must have sent it over the top.
Oh, there was a comment I wanted to tackle right before we do the draft. Hendrik Perry said, this podcast has a lot of, quote, we came here positively, but then our pessimism got in the way whenever we discuss the topic of selling comics. For sure, the pessimism is earned. This has been a problem since forever. I apologize if I come across as a pessimist when it comes to the state of comics and sales, but I am a fucking pessimist when it comes to the state of comics and sales. I think that there is a problem, and I think it's not being addressed. I think this is a way to address that. But what I get stuck on is the idea of an unactivated reader. That's what troubles me, because I don't think that exists, and I don't think there's one special trick to bringing people into the fold that aren't. I think there are so many factors, and not all of them have to do with poor decision making. So anyway, that's just where I come down.
Does this make me a positive? Wait, what's the word I'm looking for?
Optimist.
Optimist. Positivist.
The other thing about this too, and I said that in response to the first half of that comment, Sean, is that we're really coming at this out of love.
Yes, thank you.
Like our pessimism is not toward, the quote unquote woke agenda. Like, we want good comics, we want the best of comics, and we want people to have voices. That's not our problem with comics.
Right. I don't do this show for my health. I do this show because I love comics, and I'm sure we all do it for the same exact reason. So there's no agenda of destruction like other channels. So don't want to give that perspective. But anyway, let's jump into the draft. Let's have fun. Let's jump into the draft. This is a very special draft, I think. This is the collector draft. So what do I mean by that? This is how it's going to work. We are all the collector from across the multiverse. And we all want to have the greatest trinkets and objects that exist across the multiverse, not just even in Marvel. That's how powerful we are. We are vying collectively to amass the greatest, most powerful collection of objects and artifacts that exist across Marvel and DC, and nothing that can be considered that an object or an artifact is off limits.
Sorry.
Just Marvel and DC.
Just Marvel and DC.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna
Dang
let Hellboy get forgotten a second week in a row. I was like, ooh, right-handed Doom. That's what I want.
Man, I was looking at that White Ranger saber going, ooh, this is my chance.
Okay.
I like this one.
Yeah, I'm into this.
Howard the Duck doesn't count. We're not doing because collectors collected people, but we're not doing that, right?
Just objects and
Okay.
artifacts and things like that.
Got it.
What if you consider women an object? I'm asking for Marco.
Whoa.
I'm asking for Marco.
Whoa,
Bye.
Whoa! You can't be throwing that. Whoa. Rude.
All right. And so we're gonna do this the normal way. Can we do 5? You guys think we do 5?
Let's do
Across
5.
both DC and Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can nail 5 between those companies. And the rules are I will roll to determine the order of who goes, when. We will be doing a snake draft. And the winner is determined by the audience. What determines the winner? It's up to you. All right. So I will roll first for myself. Whoa, I already lost the die. All right. I'll roll first for me. That's a 6. Marco,
Mm-hmm.
that is a 7.
Ooh.
Kale, that is a 5. And Tyler, that is a 7. So Tyler and Marco need to roll off.
Yeah.
So I'll roll for Tyler first. Oh my god. That's a 12.
I could beat it.
Let's run it. 8.
13. What?
Dude, I have rolled 12s in tournaments and had my opponent roll a 12 as well. So
No way, really?
Wow.
absolutely. So go ahead, Kel.
Quickly, is the object of this to build the most powerful collection, or are we going for like things we think are cool as the collector, like the best collection?
In my mind, it's the best collection.
Okay.
You're your own collector.
Okay.
Whatever you
It's
want.
all vibes here. It's all vibes here.
Mine are
So
angry.
so the order is Tyler, Marco, myself, and Kale.
Okay. I'm going to start with. We're doing 5, right?
Yeah.
There's the obvious first one. Oh, Hendrik Perry, thank you for becoming a VI pal.
Oh, thank you so
Oh,
much,
wow.
Hendrik. That's awesome. A long-time viewer too. Appreciate you.
I'm gonna pick. You're in the first. I'm in the first spot. I feel like I have to take it. Infinity Gauntlet.
There you go.
I assume
can.
this comes with the stones.
It would be way less interesting if it didn't. So let's say it does.
So oh, I got some nice jewelry now. Yeah.
A cool glove.
I'm gonna go with the Materio Opticon. John Dee's.
Oh.
Yeah. Wouldn't that have been Sandman's ruby?
Yes, but I want the corrupted one.
Okay. That was one I was thinking about. Yeah.
Hendrik Perry says they were guilted to join. No guilt, only
Take
love.
it how we
Thank
can
you.
get it.
Appreciate you. I'm going to go with the Cosmic Cube.
You mean the Tesseract?
Oh, don't even start.
My first one will be Jay Garrick's hat.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
My second one,
Are there powers in that?
No.
No. Okay.
just cool hat, got wings on it. My second one will be Alan Scott's lantern.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
I sense a theme.
You will be correct.
I am going to draft. Well, this might not count. I'm comfortable if it doesn't count, but I'm going to throw it out there. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir.
That counts.
Counts.
I was absolutely going to pick that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that
That
counts.
counts.
All right, awesome.
Mine was gonna be Aquaman's Trident.
Right. It has a name, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does.
The,
Yeah.
I think it's just-
Atlan's
Oh,
trident.
I thought it was Samantha. All right, so I get 2 now, right? Oh, I broke Kale finally. Let
Susan.
me, yeah, let me get the ultimate nullifier,
Ooh,
and
wasn't hard.
I also want Metron's chair.
Oh, nice.
love a good chair.
It looks
I'm gonna-
comfy. He's that dude be lounging.
I'm gonna do. Damn, I just had it. Not the trident. Wesley Dodds' mask. His gas mask.
Okay.
Walking on thin ice, son.
That was Kale's next. How
Yeah,
dare
you played your hand too early, Cal. People started seeing what you wanted.
Not yet.
I am going to draft Dr. Fate's helmet.
Nice.
I don't know what it's called, but
Naboo.
Yeah, Naboo, the helmet of Naboo,
Who's a planet?
not the Star Wars planet. Yeah, just oh man, now I'm gonna imagine Naboo's voice in Gungan speak the entire time I read comics going forward.
My third one will be Wesley Dodds' gun,
Nice.
the gas gun.
oh,
And good luck with this on the images, Tyler. My fourth one will be Ma Hunkle's Red Tornado helmet.
What?
So the original Red Tornado was an old lady named Ma Hunkle, and her helmet was a pot.
Oh, she looked like Forbush Man. Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Who's next? Sorry.
You.
Oh,
I
right.
got my two. Yeah.
I will go with the Cosmic Control Rod.
I'm gonna do the Eye of Agamotto.
That's
Good pick.
classic.
Good pick. I would. So I have my last 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get Doctor Doom's time platform,
Mm.
and then I also want. This is a tricky one. Man, there's so many good. I want Batman's utility belt. No, I don't want that. I'm looking around. Give me. Oh, the Crimson Gem of Sidorak.
Thinking about that. That's a good one.
What? My turn, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do Battling Jack's boxing gloves.
With blood?
Yep.
Cool.
Last stuff he wore.
Nice.
You're gonna take it right off his dead body.
That's right.
Don't give a fuck. I'm going to draft. I think this applies. Well, no. Well, okay. I don't know if this is actually legit, so inform me. A boom tube?
Mother box would be the right thing.
I'll take
give
a
you a
mother
mother
box.
box.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with a mother box.
You go with your mother's box? What?
Whoa.
All right. Okay. So that's it, right?
No, I still have my last one.
Okay.
Oh, do we do
Right?
5? No, I thought
Yeah.
we did.
It's five.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn.
My last one is the JSA table.
Oh, it's so good.
That's fun.
Probably didn't need to have that last one, but I want to round off the collection. You know,
A
Really
round
good
table.
idea.
So we, the collectors, we have amassed and assembled what we believe are the greatest collections of trinkets and baubles and things of great power across multiple universes. But it's up to you, the listener, to tell us who won. So let us know. I will run over or run down what we all drafted. So Tyler got the Infinity Gauntlet, the Ultimate Nullifier, Metron's Chair, Doctor Doom's Time Platform, and the Sidorak Gem. Kale got Jay Garrick's hat, Alan Scott's lantern, Wesley Dodd's gas gun, Red Tornado's helmet, and JSA table. Marco got the Material Opticon, Aquaman's trident, Wesley Dodd's mask, the Eye of Agamotto, and Battling Jack's boxing gloves. And I got the Cosmic Cube, Mjolnir, Dr. Fate's helmet, the Cosmic Control Rod, and the Mother Box. So let us know who you thought had the best overall draft, who has the coolest, greatest collection of objects. Let's see, Marco, if you could put up a poll for me.
Ooh.
Oh, already there. Thank you so much. The chat's got some good ones, although the poll is making it so that I cannot see it.
But CW Gordon's got Magic Sword, a Green Lantern ring, the Lasso of Truth, Cloak's Cloak, and Candor. Candor's a great one.
Wow,
Candor
Candor's
is
a
a
really good idea.
Silver
fucked up, but-
Surfer's board. That's a good one.
Yes. Oof, how did we miss that?
Web shooters. It's nice.
I
Web
love
shooters.
the Fantastic Four's uniform of unstable molecules.
That's fun.
Really great.
My Kevin says the big penny from Batman's Batcave.
Tell him to comment in the chat.
He's scared of the
These
chat. He's too
text
scared of it.
messages.
Yeah, he's
What
too
are-
scared
what are
of
these
it.
text
Yeah.
messages about?
He's afraid the internet's going to find him and adjust his algorithm if he engages.
Well, I mean, it will, but
Yeah.
you know,
He's,
that's the
he's
point.
already engaging.
Give us the content. Give us the comments. Texting Tyler doesn't help me.
I think he gives us the likes at least in the subs.
CW Gordon said, "I'll take Spider-Man's marriage."
Ooh. Would Wolverine's adamantium skeleton count?
Oh,
Because I'm
think
thinking like
that's-
in my head when he
Huh.
posited this, I was thinking the big 2-page spread of the Maestro's collection, and it had like Vision's decapitated head, Cap's shield, Hawkeye's bow.
Weapons are one thing, but I wouldn't say like parts of
Skeleton-
people's
skeleton's
bodies
a
or
little
anything
much.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would say it would.
what about
Like
style?
the glove, like Wolverine's glove with the like the old toys or whatever, where the claws come out.
yeah.
But
That would just be his
I don't
hand.
know. Yeah,
Magneto's helmet, another good one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no one took Batmobile.
Xavier's chair.
Oh, yeah. Would full vehicles count?
Not to me. I really was like trying to keep
Yeah,
it to like objects of power. You guys took it beyond that and made it about things that are just cool to
Invisible
look
jet.
at. But
Yo, a meme pairs in the chat. Chad Paul's Riz.
Is it like Austin Powers? He just steal his mojo and it's in a vial.
Hendrik Perry says, without Wolverine's regeneration, his skeleton would poison and kill you. Have at it.
No,
that's
I'm the collector. Ain't nothing killing me.
Ooh, the mother mold.
Pretty good.
That's a full-on giant robot.
It's an item.
An item.
What?
Robots are people too. Brought to you
Yeah,
by
I-
Adobe Photoshop's new AI in their Photoshop beta.
I'm a huge proponent of robots.
Shrink the you can shrink the mother mold and you just have it as like a little keychain.
Man,
Yeah,
talking
so
about your mother's
wrong.
mold, your mother's box. What's going on here?
The mother mold has feelings too.
The Adams small chair for when he's floating around the JLA table during a meeting. Oh, that would be a
There's
good
so
one.
many good chairs. Kang's time chair. Another
Love
good
it.
chair.
Oh
chairs.
yeah.
Love a chair.
Love a good chair.
Hey, we're all sitting in chairs right now.
Batman's mom's pearls.
Ooh.
Marco, you should
Batman's
just collect his
parents.
dead parents memorabilia.
I started out with the theme was going to be like things that were associated and ascribed to other people but stolen from them, or like, but I slipped on some of it.
Oh, what about the
Huh.
the car from the first appearance of Superman when he's smashing it? Isn't that-
Okay.
That'd be cool.
All right. So
First car Superman smashed.
I want to say thank you to our channel members. I want to say thank you to those of you who made the decision to join us today. That's really awesome. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are the real VI pals. I want to say thank you to all our patrons who make this possible. Patreon.com/thecomicspals is how you can become among the group that I shouted out earlier. We also have patrons who are on other tiers that aren't a part of the Palsverse quite yet. But there's a lot to enjoy for any kind of person who enjoys our show. We even have free stuff on our Patreon page. So give it a listen. We appreciate every single person that tunes in. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the views. Thank you for the comments. Thank you guys for everything. If you want to join and watch us live, you can do that every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Next Saturday's show might be pretty good.
If we can confirm.
Yeah. We might have something special next Saturday. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm a little confused too. But I will talk about it.
I mean, you guys should know. Jeez.
Yeah, I have an idea of the
I
possibilities.
don't know anything.
But...
Kale.
Um,
I'm
But-
gonna end the poll. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh, Sean, the
Whoa.
clear winner.
Wow.
I never win these. I'm shocked.
Yeah. I'm
putting this one on
not to
TikTok
toot my
see.
own horn. I'm a little surprised at how low I was.
Yours was fun. It gave me a visual. Yours was the only one that gave me a visual because I thought of the table with all those things on it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, CW Gordon says it's always a special day with the pals. Thank you so much, and you're right. Our show is always special, but it could be extra special next week. You know what else was special? Our live book club for the long Halloween. That was a great time. Thank you to everybody that showed up. If you want to watch it or listen to it, it is out everywhere. So give that a listen. If you enjoyed the live aspect of it, let us know. We are always soliciting feedback from all of you. So definitely talk to us about that. Join our Discord server. It's always fun over there. Lots of great conversations happening on our Discord server. And tomorrow, this only applies if you're listening live, but tomorrow we are having a Patreon hangout. So our patrons are welcome to come hang out with us. We're going to be discussing horror comics, considering that it's still sort of that time of year. We're going to reflect on horror comics that are meaningful to us and give horror recommendations and just chat with our patrons. You know, we love talking to you guys. We get to do it every day on Discord, twice a week when we do the show, and we want even more connection with y'all. And we're going to do it a little bit more intimately with our patrons, but it's going to be fun all the same. Plugs. Kale, you're up.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Comics Pals. You can find me on Instagram at TotoInto. That's TOTOINTOW. You can find my work at keleward.com. That's CLEWARD.com.
You can find me at Mr. Marco Enomoto on Instagram and Twitter. Talk to me about all the same shit that is One Piece related. Thank you very much.
You can find me at the Tyler Olson everywhere. And talk to me about Warcraft. Warcraft's biting me in the butt again. If you're feeling the itch, going to the Emerald Dream on Tuesday, playing a little Warcraft Rumble tonight. It's fun.
And you get a cream for that.
I think I have some Quarter Zone or Neosporin. One of those should do it.
Piesworth.
Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. Love doing the show. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate you. Until next time, we're the Comics Pals